Before we begin, I just want to say a quick shout out to Matthew. He is a new subscriber. Welcome, Matthew. You are our seventh subscriber. Thank you for joining our little Take a Break podcast community. Thanks for subscribing. I hope you are enjoying the content. I hope you stick around and feel free to join in on the conversation. And feel free to write in and comment and all that good stuff. And of course, uh, always a special welcome to any subscribers and regular listeners. So, yeah. And with that being said, as always, I want to say welcome back to the Take a Break podcast exclusively here on the YouTubes. I am your host, KC, and this is the relaxing, informative, and very random podcast where we take a break from the hectic pace of life to just spend some time together and also discuss various topics from mundane subjects to thought provoking ideas. And welcome to episode 22. Today's topic is I don't even know what to call it. I sort of have I guess about a 10 or 15 minute long thought, I guess, idea on life and how quickly life can change in one direction or the other. I don't even know what to call this topic of the day, but anyways, take a listen. It's a little more reflective. It's just it's just me talking about life and how quickly life can change. So I guess the topic of the day is, how life can change. I guess I don't even know. And as always, in the intro, I plan to talk about what I've been up to. So more random ramblings, I guess. But for those of you that don't know, the podcast format is simple. We have the intro, topic of the day, and then community chat. As always, feel free to check out the YouTube description for podcast timing and so you can skip around to your favorite section. So if you want to go straight to the topic of the day or the community chat, you can do that. And speaking of community chat, become part of the community chat. That's the section in which I read your feedback and your letters, your fan mail. So please send me any responses, questions, comments, requests, etc. via email only at takeabreakpodcast@gmail.com. All right. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing well. This is being recorded. Let's see here. Monday, May 29th at 8:32 p.m. and it is 2017. And it is also Memorial Day for those in the United States. As you know, I am from Canada, but happy Memorial Day to those in the United States. I hope you are having a good Memorial Day and celebrating it accordingly. So, anyways, yeah, how's everyone doing? If I sound tired, it's because I am. I just came back from a road trip. I wasn't planning on recording this tonight, but I also wasn't planning on not having episode 22 recorded. So I don't know if that makes sense, but let me look at my calendar here. So I originally wanted to, well, actually, okay, let's start back. So I recorded episode 21 on May 13th. Okay, so right now, it's been over 2 weeks since I have recorded a episode of the Take a Break podcast. That 2 weeks is a long time. Although I posted episode 21 on May 15th, but last week I posted the first episode of KC Reviews. I actually followed through with that, so I did not lie in episode 21. I actually followed through with that. I'll talk about more about KC reviews later in this intro. But so I wanted to record episode 22 last week. Let me see. I'm looking at my calendar here. I actually wrote down on May 23rd in my calendar, I wrote a note to myself, record Take a Break podcast episode 22. I didn't record it Tuesday, so I wanted to record it Wednesday. Didn't record it Wednesday, so I wanted to record it Thursday. Didn't record it Thursday, and I said, you know what? Forget it. I'll record episode 22 when I come back from my road trip. And so there you go. So I'm back, and now I am here recording a podcast. Late at night, and I have work tomorrow, and I'm tired. But I want to get an episode out. I actually do have a topic this time. I don't even know what to call it, as you heard from my little welcoming. It's a little more reflective, existential, I guess. I don't know if that's even the correct use of that word in this context. And I should know, right? I've studied philosophy, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I got an interesting topic of the day, which kind of relates to this road trip, which I might try to bring it in when we get there. But yeah, in the intro, I just want to kind of say hello. And again, I apologize if I'm a little more, I don't know, not as energetic. Doesn't mean I'm not as interested. And I did not have a coffee. I know usually when I do these nighttime recordings, I have a coffee. And that coffee helps me, be a little more, see, I can't even think of words without my coffee. It helps me be a little more fluent, I guess, and a little more concise and comprehensive in my speech. So if I'm a little all over the place, it's because I'm tired and whatnot. But, for the intro, I thought I would cheat again and kind of look at my calendar. You can hear this here. I have my calendar out, and I am literally going to go through my calendar and see what I've been up to. And I'm just going to kind of look at my calendar here, and because I write little notes about what I've done, and if there's anything that kind of stands out, I may talk about it and kind of go off on a little random rambling or tangent. So yeah, so let's see here. I recorded on the 13th. All right, let's see what I did for the past 2 weeks. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about everything, but oh yeah, okay. So I ended up going to Red Lobster. I don't know if you remember from episode 21, I mentioned I was going to Red Lobster the day I recorded it. I did end up going. I'm not going to talk about Red Lobster. It was great, by the way, food-wise, everything. But what I did want to talk about is when we went in there, it was packed. You know what? It was just really packed. And I didn't realize it, but that weekend, so I guess 2 weekends ago, so not this past weekend and not the weekend before that, but the weekend of the 13th was Mother's Day. And I totally forgot about that. Even though I was going to celebrate Mother's Day on Sunday the 14th, I forgot that Saturday the 13th, the day before Mother's Day, people are celebrating Mother's Day too. Maybe they're not free on the Sunday, so they're taking out their mom or mother figures or parental figures, aunts, grandmothers, guardians, whoever it may be, on the Saturday night. So me and my wife go to Red Lobster, and it's packed. It's packed with families and people taking pictures, and that's when I realized, I turned to my wife and I said, oh, this is the Mother's Day crowd. But anyways, that's not the interesting part. So we went up there, and we asked them how long the wait is, and they said 1 hour. They said 1 hour. And in my head, I remember thinking to myself, I don't think it's going to take an hour. And I kind of looked around at the crowd. I was like, there's a lot of people here, but 1 hour? I don't think so. So I kind of turned to my wife, and we kind of said, yeah, that's okay. We will wait. They gave us, they have this little pager system. It almost looks like a coaster device, and it kind of buzzes when it's your turn to go up. Anyways, we took the device and waited, And it's kind of funny, as we were waiting, we saw people dropping like flies. We saw people going up to the counter saying, you know what, the wait is too long. You can remove our name, and they left. Or you would see people enter the restaurant. They would ask how long's the wait. They would say 1 hour, and those people would be like, huh, forget this, and they would leave. And I remember thinking, wow, people are not staying. I think this is great. And sure enough, the wait was only half an hour by the time we got called up. So I called it. And even half an hour, that might seem like a long time, but time can fly, you know? Time time flies by. It really does. Like look at these podcasts, right? I talk for like over an hour, and you just keep talking, and before you know it, it's like, oh, it's an hour. But yeah, me and my wife, I don't know, I think we talked or we looked at our phones for a bit, and before we knew it, half an hour had passed. So that's kind of a lesson there. If they say an hour wait, I don't know, it very well may be an hour, but a lot of times just kind of stick around. An hour can go by really fast, and if it's shorter than that, it's not that bad. So, and it was worth the wait because we had a great time. I love Red Lobster. Say what you want about it. I personally love it. Um, so yeah, and it was also Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there and mothers to be, and all of that. Um, let's see if I did anything interesting over the week. I went to a wine tasting. That was kind of interesting. I go to a lot of wine tastings actually. Not that I am a wine expert. I like going to wine tastings, but the problem with me is I actually have a bad sense of smell, which is horrible. Which means that I actually can't taste food as well as I'd like to. Um, so yeah, I actually have a bad sense of smell, which is good and bad because it's good in the sense that I can't smell bad things. Um, I can never smell when things are really bad, but at the same time, I can't smell when things are good. You know, I don't know if it's allergies or just the way my sinuses are built, but it's terrible. Actually, it actually really is. I wish I had a better sense of smell. Um, so yeah, you know what? There's times where like you smell something really bad, and people are like, "Oh my goodness, that's a horrible smell." Well, I always think, well, at least you can smell it, because I can't. um, so I'd rather be able to smell bad things, but then be able to smell good things and taste things the way they're intended to, than not having smell at all. Now it's not like my smell is absent, like I can't smell anything, but it is very very weak. Although I heard you can train your sense of smell and things like that. But anyways, going back full circle, is wine. A lot of it has to do with smell. Because I can't smell very well, those subtleties are lost on me. So a lot of wines kind of taste the same, but I still like going to wine tasting. It's very social, it's fun, and I enjoy wine. But the good news for me then is, a for me a like a $10 bottle can perform just as well as like a $200 bottle for me, which is good. So I don't have to spend too much on my wine. That's some good news there. Um, I ate a lot of food. Yeah, look, I went out a lot to eat food, which is just crazy. But let's see here. I went to the mall a couple of times. I ordered pizza. The next day, I ordered pizza again. So yeah, you know what? So okay, actually, let me talk about this. So I get something called a second crave. Okay, I call it a second crave. This is what I tell my wife this. I don't know if anyone else gets this. If anyone else gets a second crave, let me know. So, when you're craving a specific food, okay, let's just say you're craving pizza, and you eat that pizza and it tastes good. I always find that I can't satisfy a crave in one sitting. So if I'm craving pizza and I'd say on Tuesday night I have pizza, it tastes great. I find that on Wednesday night I have that crave again, one more time. I get pizza the next night, and then after that I'm like, okay, now I'm good. Now I'm kind of sick of pizza. I don't need to get pizza for a while. I don't know, I always get this second crave. I find it a lot with sushi for some reason. If I go to sushi, say on a Friday, the next day I'll start craving sushi again. and I'll go to sushi that day or maybe soon after. But then after that second time, my craving is good. It's satisfied. It is so, I don't know. It is so weird. I always get a second crave. So if I'm craving wings, I may have wings one day, but then soon after, maybe not even the next day, but a couple days later, or even the next week, I'll crave it again. But then once I satisfy that second craving, then I'm good. Craving satisfied, I can move on to the next fix, I guess. But yeah, I always get the second crave. It's interesting, eh? I don't know. That's just me. That's just me, I guess. So yeah. Um, Actually, yeah, and you know what? And the week, so May 20th and May 21st was the Victoria Day long weekend. So Monday, May 22nd, so last Monday, not today, obviously. For us in Canada, it is Victoria Day. So happy Victoria Day to everyone. I hope you enjoyed your long weekend. Now, for me personally, because of the nature of my work and what I do, I haven't gone into specifics about my office job, and I don't plan to. Just it's neither here nor there. But uh, uh, a lot of our work is U.S. based, so I actually had to work on Victoria Day. So I did not have a long weekend last Monday. But again, on the flip side, because our work is heavily US based, I actually had today off, which is Memorial Day. So even though I'm Canadian, I actually had today off, which is actually why I was able to go on that road trip that I just mentioned earlier on the intro. Anyways, that's a little aside. So um, it was the Victoria Day long weekend, although technically not a long weekend for me. But me and my wife, we had a great Toronto adventure. You know, Victoria Day is really a celebration of Canada as well. So yeah, we went to Toronto on that Saturday. We had a Toronto adventure. It was great. We went to the Eaton Center. We ended up at the CN Tower, which was quite an experience. I've been to the CN Tower a lot, but it was kind of random. We were just walking around downtown, and we ended up eating at a restaurant by the CN Tower. And I remember telling my wife, "Hey, when was the last time you've been up the CN Tower?" And she said, maybe 20 years." And I said, "Okay, we're going today." Just like that. I was like, "Yeah, it's been 20 years. Wow, okay, let's go." Last time I've been was about 2010, so it's been about 7 years for me. But I thought, wow, 20 years? No, let's go. It's been a while. You probably have forgotten what the view is like, and plus, it's something to do. Um, so yeah, and I won't go too much into that because I'm actually considering doing an episode of KC Reviews reviewing the CN Tower experience. But um, so yeah, so if you want to know my thoughts on the CN Tower, I may make a KC Reviews episode for it. So hold tight for that. But if not, I'll talk about it in another episode then. But speaking of KC Reviews, I recorded and released the first episode last Sunday. So not yesterday, but last Sunday, May 21st. And I did it. I actually did it. I know in Take a Break podcast, last episode 21, the topic of the day was this new series, KC Reviews. And so for me, there was a lot of pressure. I did an episode about it, so I had to follow through with it, which is good. I was very, very pleased with this episode. Very, very pleased with it. I know it's not gonna go viral or go anything crazy, but I'm very proud of that episode. It's something different. It's kind of like the Take a Break podcast in the sense that it's audio only, and it is a review. It is me talking about something, but as I mentioned in the last episode, it is a whole different animal. But I am very, very proud of that. Um, and I've actually been working on some other reviews. The only thing about the KC review series is, and for better for worse, and sorry, I'm just kind of moving positions here, getting more comfortable on my IKEA couch here as I recorded this. But for better or worse, the things that I review on KC reviews is varied, and it varies differently, um, severely, I guess. Wow, that was probably the most like incoherent sentence. Let me start that again. The things that I review on KC Reviews varies greatly. So the first episode I reviewed Soylent. The next episode, I'm actually planning on reviewing a backpack. And the episode after that, I may review the CN Tower experience. So these are unrelated things. So when I say for better or worse, it's for better because you get to hear my views on just a bunch of different products and services or movies and things like that. But for worse, in the sense that I doubt that this review show will garner any like new subscribers or any sort of following because the products are so varied. Why would you subscribe? Because you don't even know what I'm going to review next. But I'm not doing this, you know, to necessarily attract subscribers and things like that. This is just a project I really wanted to do. And again, I do a lot of reviews on the Take a Break podcast. And anyways, I won't get into that. I talked about that last episode. But maybe what I do want to talk about is some behind the scenes. I guess this is like think of this as the bonus, the special features of a DVD. So here's sort of a behind the scenes making of the first episode of KC Reviews. So first of all, it's audio only, as you know. But here's another thing which may surprise you. Unlike the Take a Break podcast, I actually wrote out that review. I've been working on that for maybe about a week, and I typed it out word for word. I wrote out the review word for word. I wrote it out. I edited it. I changed it. I practiced. I practiced rehearsing it over and over again. I practiced when to pause, when to sort of make my voice one way or the other. And I was very satisfied with it. It was great. And then I went ahead and I recorded it. I did it in one take, although I spliced some applause right in the middle. That's just something I wanted to do. It's a little... I was going to say something else, but I'll hold my thought on that one. But I put in that applause. It's I don't know. I like it, and it reminds me of another video, but I won't go into that. But anyways, I recorded it in one take. I was very happy with it, and it's very different from the Take a Break podcast. When you listen to me talk now, this is unscripted. I'm just kind of rambling. There's lots of pauses. There's lots of ums and ahs, and what am I going to talk about? And it's just kind of me sitting here in front of my laptop talking. But with KC Reviews, those are really finely tuned. Those are very, I put a lot of very stringent conditions on what I want to say in that. It is heavily edited. I want to make the reviews as concise as possible. So yeah, it's written out. There's a lot of editing. It's great. I love it. So when you listen to me talk in KC Reviews, hopefully I sound better and cleaner and more coherent because I am reading a script. So there you go. There's a little behind the scenes making of. Whoops! And there goes my calendar. Let me just grab that really quick. And yeah. So there's little behind the scenes action on the KC Reviews. Although the other thing which surprised me is I wrote it out and it was like 5 pages. And I actually thought the Soylent review was short. Like when I was typing it out, it felt like it was short. It was like five pages double spaced. So I thought, okay, this is going to be like 5-10 minutes maybe. Because it felt short. I actually could have written a lot more on each of the categories. I know I did like taste, health, convenience, and price. I could have written more, especially say on price or whatever, or on health, but I kind of kept it short. But when I recorded the podcast, it ended up being, hold on, let me open up YouTube here. Yeah, it ended up being 14 minutes, which was way longer than I thought. I thought KC Reviews was going to be these like kind of like 5 to 10 minute reviews, but yeah, I guess the first one was 14 minutes. I actually don't think the other ones are going to be that long. I'm planning on having ones like, say, the CN Tower, like that's going to be just short, like 5 minutes type of thing. So we shall see. Although the one on the backpack, I think that one's gonna be long. But yeah, so we'll see about that. So, anyways, yeah, that's KC reviews. Let's see. In the past 2 weeks, I did lots of Uber Eats, which is probably not good for those of you that don't know. Uber Eats is a food delivery service. But what I like about it is, and I piggyback off my wife's phone. She has the app installed on her phone. Is that you order it on the Uber Eats app, and it's all paid for on the app. So when the driver comes and delivers the door, they just knock, they drop off the food, they say have a good day, and they leave. That's it. You don't have to sit in front of the doorway with a credit card or giving cash and paying for it. It's already paid for it. Also, tip. There is no tip. You pay a delivery fee on the app, but other than that, there's no tip. You're not expected to tip. It's a really clean service, very little human interaction, which for an introvert like me, it's great. Uh, but yeah, so basically, yeah, it's a food delivery service. So you open up Uber Eats. There's all these restaurants that have signed up to be Uber Eat providers, and at the same token, there are Uber Eat drivers just kind of hovering around the city. So you place an order through Uber Eats, the restaurant gets it, an Uber driver gets it. They head over, pick up the food, drop it over to you. You've already paid for it by the time it's come because it's on the app, and yeah, clean, nice and easy. So yeah, there you go. That was that was it. That was that. And let me see here. Yeah, I did some other things. Did that. Uh, I went to a French restaurant. That was pretty cool. That was just a couple days ago on Friday. I had a steak, which was amazing. I love my steak. I had it medium. It was a New York steak, and yeah, that was good actually. That was really, really good. And of course, it was me, my my sister, not my sister, my wife, uh, me, my wife, and another couple. So I guess it was like a double date, and it was great. Great food, great company. Yeah, and then yeah, just a couple days ago we went on our road trip. So so let me talk a little bit about that. It's kind of fresh in my memory. I'm not gonna go over every detail, but for those of you that live in the TO, that live in the six, we the north, so you probably know about Collingwood, aka the mountains, the Blue Mountains, and yeah, so we went to Blue Mountain Resorts. You can go Google it if you're not from here, but it's about a little under 2 hour drive from Toronto, I guess, or depending where you live in the GTA. So let's just say 2 hours, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but it's about a 2 hour drive. So I don't know if you consider that a road trip. Anyways, I do. So yeah, me and my wife, we went to Blue Mountain for the weekend. We stayed for Saturday night and Sunday night. So I guess 2 nights, 3 days type of thing, and we just came back, and yeah, it was great. Very relaxing. It was nice to get out of the city and go on this road trip. And I'm gonna kind of mention it in the topic of the day, but it was nice. It's nice to be home though. It's nice to be homesick. It's nice to get back to your old routine. Now I know you're thinking, what? It's nice to come back from a vacation? Well, I'll talk about that in the topic of the day. So it might not make any sense now, but stick around and and you will see. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of some highlights of our trip. It was just very relaxing. It's what Blue Mountain Resort is. It's not a resort like an all inclusive tropical resort. Again, this is Canada. It's Collingwood. This is North, but it is it's actually like a ski resort actually. So during the winter, people go there for skiing and think of like the chalet life, I guess. So it's a little villa, right? It's like this middle, little village. So imagine you have the slopes, you have the mountains, you have the skiers, and then at the bottom of it, you have a little villa where there's restaurants and hotels and little shops, and it just looks like it reminds you of Lake Tahoe, pretty much. So for those of you in the States, think of Lake Tahoe. I guess this is a smaller version of that, or just basically any ski town. Just think about any kind of little ski resort. That's basically what this is. And during the summer, it's still open in the summer, but in the summer it's more about like hiking and biking and just walking around the hills or just going around the villa and whining and dining and things like that. And yeah, that's what me and my wife did. We went. We stayed at the Blue Mountain Inn. I might do a review on that too. We'll see. But it's about not even a 5 minute walk to the actual villa or little village. So it was great. We basically spent you know, the weekend doing that. It's great. 2 nights there. We also took some kind of side trips to some other sites close by. On the way back, we visited another city called Midland, which is also great. We like to go there as well. But yeah, no, it was good. We went on the gondola ride, which was pretty cool, pretty scary, because it's kind of shaky and there's no. I've been on the gondola ride at Lake Tahoe, but this one is, yeah, this one it's like kind of open. It's just like a little, almost like a basket that holds you, but that's it. There's nothing to sit down or hold on to, like, and it's kind of rocking too. You can just kind of literally just jump off if you want to. But luckily with this one is it's pretty close to the hill. So first of all, if no one knows what I'm talking about, imagine like a little basket on a rope that kind of takes you from the bottom of the hill to the top. You know, just Google it, I guess. Ski lift, gondola, that type of thing. But anyways, the distance from the gondola to actually the bottom of the hill is pretty short. So if you were to fall off, it's not too big of a deal. You probably wouldn't perish, but still, that it was kind of scary. We also had a kind of the highlight is we had lunch at this late lunch, I guess, at this Italian place there. Now, obviously, all the restaurants here are overpriced. That goes without saying. So, price aside, but it was great. It was a great. I'm not usually a pasta person, but I was surprised how filling it was. I was very happy about that. I was very, very happy about, um, you know, how filling the pasta. I don't usually get pasta. I don't know why. Whenever I go to restaurants, I'm not a pasta guy. It's just kind of boring to me. I don't know. I don't know if boring is the right word. And I could eat that really fast too. Um, but yeah, anyways, it's an Italian place, so I did order pasta, and it was good. It was like some, I don't even know. I'm not a pasta expert, so I literally just I saw one of them. It said like spicy Italian sausage, so I was like, okay, I'll just take that. I don't even know what really the sauce was. And my wife got pasta with I think there's like some shrimps and seafood in it. That was also really good. And the reason I know it was good is because I ate the leftovers, you know. So um, I guess that's one of the perks about having a partner is usually one or the other can't finish their food, so you can always share. So if there's something that I order, my wife can partake in that, and vice versa. If my wife orders something, I can partake in that as well. So yeah, little perks, little little perks. Actually, it's funny. Like a lot of the times when me and my wife go to restaurants, I would say I would say half the time we actually do not order mains. Like we don't order main dishes. I don't know if other couples are like that, but a lot of the times when, especially if we go to pubs, uh, meanwhile, like I won't, me and my wife, we won't order mains. We'll just split like a couple of appetizers, or we'll split even a couple of mains. Like just almost make like a mix and match type of thing. Like, hey, let's get some nachos, let's get some wings, and let's kind of share that. Or, let's get some calamari, um, let's get this and let's split it. So yeah. So this one we actually ordered mains, which was good. Uh, and yeah, let's see. Let's see what else here. Yeah, I'm just looking at my calendar. I've done a lot, but uh, yeah, yeah, nothing else I can really go off on a tangent on. I guess. But yeah, I went to the mall. I think I mentioned that. I did laundry, so I did that. um, yeah, yeah. Laundry is. I like laundry in in the building that I live in, but I don't know if it's this one machine or if it's a couple of machines. But I find that I can never tell when my clothes will get dry. Maybe I'm just putting too much clothes, or the amount of clothes varies. But maybe there's a life hack that I don't know about. But I'll put my clothes in the dryer, say for like an hour on high, and sometimes it'll feel like I haven't even like I'll come back after the hour, and it feels like the clothes haven't even been in the dryer. They're still just as damp. So I'll put it in for another even hour, and then it'll finally be dry. Or even sometimes after that, sometimes I have to put it for almost 2 hours before it gets dry. Because I'll put it like if it's still kind of damp, I'll put it for another 15 minutes, another half an hour. Then I'll check on it and keep adding time if I have to. Then there's other times I'll put it for like an hour, 10 minutes, and it's completely dry. So I don't know. I don't know, folks. Like, explain that to me. Is there something about dryers that I don't know? Am I inept when it comes to dryers? So yeah, I don't know actually, to be honest. So um, teach me the ways of dryers when working with laundry. But is that normal? I don't think so, right? I don't know. Maybe I should switch dryers. Also, too, I'm kind of OCD when it comes to like cleanliness. The washers and dryers are pretty clean, but I don't know. Just like there's one dryer that I really like 'cause it's really clean. I don't know if it's because it's just not a lot of people use it for some reason, but uh, it's also the one that gives me issues. So actually, it's funny now that I'm thinking about this. Maybe the reason why it's so clean is because no one uses it, and maybe the reason nobody uses it is because it's a faulty dryer that doesn't dry well. You know what? That's probably it. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I should probably switch dryers next time I use that. But yeah, yeah, little nice little weekend trip for me, and and you know what? Maybe next week. Uh, yeah, well, I'm gonna be traveling for a couple more weekends. It's really busy, but hopefully I can record another podcast next week. So so yeah, so I think the distance from this podcast, from episode, at least in terms of the date it's recorded, I think the distance from recording episode 22 to recording episode 23 is going to be a lot shorter. It definitely won't be 2 weeks. At least I don't think so. But now, in terms of when it's posted, that's a whole different animal. I know I mentioned I was playing around with recording the parts of the podcast on different times, like maybe record the topic of the day separately from the intro or the community chat. But yeah, I might still do that, but not for this one. This one is still old school. It's still one sitting that I'm doing it. So, anyways, I think that's it for the intro. I don't really have too much to say. I guess we've been talking for a while for the intro, anyways. And yeah, I guess that's it. So, you know what? We have a pretty interesting topic, but let's go ahead and formally end the intro and let us talk about the topic of the day. So, welcome back to episode 22, and this is KC from the Take a Break podcast, and we have an interesting topic. I don't even know what to call it. I really don't, but I've been thinking about this, and I just wanted to share some thoughts about life and about how quickly life can change for better or for worse. And I guess maybe I have a little life lesson wrapped up somewhere there in the end. I think this is going to be a shorter episode. I don't know. I don't know how long. I think this will only take 10 minutes to talk about this, but um, first of all, let me just set some ground rules for a second. Maybe not some ground rules, but I'm going to use kind of my life as a context, especially for the past couple of years. But for the sake of, I don't know, for the sake of confidentiality, I may be vague on some of the details. I may even purposefully um, kind of mix around some timelines just to kind of keep things vague, and also to, I don't want to, give away kind of personal, like, my personal life, like, to the letter, you know. But at the same time, I'm not lying to you, which is why I have this little disclaimer that I'm gonna keep the details kind of vague. I may sort of move some things around just strategically, just for the sake of the story and the sake of confidentiality. But in general, what I'm about to tell you is tantamount to my actual experience. This is real. Like, even though I'm kind of vague on the details, if the details were really pertinent, I would have included them, but they're not. They're not. So I can still talk about this life lesson without talking about that. But I'm just doing a lot of reflecting, which I think this topic of the day is a little more, I don't want to use the word somber, but it is a little more reflective, a little more introspective. And I was just thinking, wow, can life change really fast, And yeah, just life can just change so fast and so quickly. It really is insane. Um, yeah, so let's just talk about. I want to talk about 3 years actually, because I think that's a perfect uh, way to illustrate this point about how quickly life can change. I want to talk about 2015, 2016, and 2017. And again, keep in mind the disclaimer that I talked about. So if I ever contradict myself, this is kind of vague just for the sake of, but this really is my story. But 2015 really was a stress-free year, although I didn't think it was at the time. But 2015 really was just a stress-free year. From spring, summer, and fall of 2015 really was the good old days. It really was. Again, I didn't think about it at the time, and it's funny. I think about. I mentioned last episode. I think it was the last episode. I love the show The Office. There is a scene, probably the best quote in the whole show, with the Nard dog, Andy Bernard, and he says something to this effect. I don't know if this is word for word, but he basically says something like, quote, "I wish I knew you were in the good old days before you've actually left them," end quote. I don't know if that's word for word, but that's what Andy says, and I love that. That's sort of kind of the tragedy of the good old days is when you're in it, you don't know those are the good old days. It's almost sad, really. It's almost, I don't know, almost depressing in a sense. And I don't use that word lightly, which you will see why in a second, but um, it really is thought provoking. It's unfortunate. It for lack of a better word, it sucks. I apologize for using that word if it's a little more on the vulgar side, but it's just it's awful. It is unfortunate that that's kind of how life works. Is a lot of the times when you're in the good old days, you don't even know it. It's only when you have passed that point that you look back and you think those were the good old days. And for me, 2015 um, was, I have lots of years where I consider them the good old days, but 2015 really was the good old days. Life was so uncomplicated. I really had a blessed life. I still do, and I still did in 2016. But 2015, it was just me and my wife. We both had stable, stress-free jobs. We worked close to home. I remember just my life was just working, and then I'd pick up my wife like immediately after work, and then we'd just relax and have dinner, and then go home, and just not a care in the world. Although we did have stresses, and you know, again, as I said, I didn't think about it at the time. I didn't think it was the good old days at the time, but yeah, 2015 was the good old days, and I was able to travel a lot, and in terms of my mental health and my health, everything was just fine. Wasn't nothing too crazy. It's just, I don't know. 2015 was great, and it was exciting too because I was on the verge of getting a new job, and it's just 2015 was great. It really, really was. It was the good old days. And I regret not feeling that way, to be honest. And I'll talk about that kind of in the end. But anyways, but that's 2015. And so you know what? It's May right now. So let's just use May as sort of the benchmark. But so May of 2015. Fast forward to May of 2016, and wow, I don't want to get emotional, but hmm, yeah, it's a little tough. But May of 2016, at that point, and hold on, another disclaimer. I don't advertise this podcast. I haven't actually, aside from my wife, I haven't told anyone that I know personally, like my friends or family, about this podcast. But by the same token, I have no idea who's listening to this. So there may be people listening to this who know me personally that are just maybe not telling me that you listen to this podcast. But it's a small community. I doubt anyone is, but or who knows? This you may be listening to this like 10 years down the line. Who knows? Maybe in 10 years I'll be a famous podcaster. Whatever. Who knows? Maybe in 2027, if someone's listening to this in 2027, yeah. This isn't a cry for help. So you don't have to flood my emails saying, "Oh, are you okay?" This really isn't a cry for help. This is I just want to talk about how life can change. But anyways, to go back, but May 2016, I really was a broken person. Um, just nothing was going right. I suffered just a terrible depression and anxiety. I don't want to go too much detail into about that, but it was a tough time. I won't go into too many specifics, but just a series of tragedies and events, and also most importantly, just stresses at work, changes of lifestyle, um, just my life in 2015, just 12 months later, was completely different, almost unrecognizable. My schedule was different. Um, um, my health was different. My mental state was completely different. To go from well-being and vitality to depression and anxiety, it's completely different. And to think that that can just happen in 12 months, or really in just about 6 months, because even in the fall of 2015, I was doing okay. So just in about 6 months, it's funny how life can change so fast. All it takes is a couple of key events coupled with maybe some constant stress. And look, praise God for my wife, and at least that she was the rock and that I was able to lean on during this time. But just in general, it just wasn't. I was very broken. It was not a good time in my life at all. I won't go into specifics, but for those of you who are suffering depression or anxiety, honestly, my heart and my thoughts and my prayers go out to you, and I don't mean that facetiously or unsincerely. I really do feel your pain. I was there, and just that feeling of waking up and just thinking, what's the point of even waking up? You know, it's yeah, just depression is not fun. Anxiety as well. I've never suffered anxiety in my life, but for anyone who has suffered anxiety, kind of, that this tension in your chest, the shortness of breath, and it lasts for hours throughout the whole day. It's not fun. Even just thinking about it, I'm actually, I can't believe I actually went through that, and that lasted months, even pretty much until the beginning of 2017. Like, it's just funny how life can change so fast. But this story has a kind of a good ending. Is that fast forward to now, May 2017, life is totally opposite. You know, the depression and the anxiety for the most part is gone. You know, things are getting better. Life is good. I live in a great place. just everything is kind of going right. And believe it or not, I don't want to make the same mistake that I made in 2015. And I told my wife, you know what? I think I have a feeling we're going to look back and think about 2017 as the good old days. So I am enjoying it now. I really am. I'm enjoying the life that I have now. Like, look at, like, you followed the podcast, and you know, the beginning of the year was kind of stressful, but I've done a lot of happy things. I'm in a good place right now. Um, but isn't it funny how life can change so fast? May of 2015, great. 12 months later, just complete 180, like rock bottom, right? That is the lowest, most broken I've ever been in my entire life. Then fast forward 12 months again to now, to May 2017, and I'm back on my feet. Life is good. Love my job. Love where I live. Love the situation I'm in. Everything is great. Um, is it perfect? No, but isn't it funny how life kind of works like that? You know, um, just it can change so fast. So much can happen in a year. So much can happen in 12 months. So much can happen in 6 months. So much can happen in a couple of months. You know, we don't even have to go a year. Look at even just like 5 months ago. January and February of 2017 was really tough for me still. I was still in those states kind of. And look at this now. I just came back from this road trip, and I'm actually homesick. Isn't that great? That I'm actually, when I go on a road trip or a vacation, I can't wait to get back to my life, because my life is actually fine. As opposed to in 2016, I was able to go on a road trip actually in July, but I remember at that road trip, when it was done, I was like, I don't want to go back. I really don't. I don't want to go back to my life. Uh, I really don't. I just don't. But isn't it funny? Now I'm on a road trip, and it's like, yeah, this was great. Um, Whereas with last year, when I went away for a couple of days, it was an escape uh, from such an awful life. But now, this road trip, it's not an escape. It's to continue the good life that I have. You know, um, pacifier. There you go. My trips last year was a pacifier or a painkiller. You know, but then now this trip is not a painkiller. I don't have much pain to treat or anything to pacify. This weekend trip is just a continuation of the everyday good life that I have. So I'm really blessed for it. But yeah, I just want to talk about that. I know that's. I didn't really mean to go too much into about depression and anxiety, but if anyone wants to talk to me about that or wants me to talk more about that, I can. But I'll kind of hold off on that. But I just want to talk about how kind of life can change really quickly. Um, and so kind of just some lessons from that, I guess, is number one, you know, if you feel that you're at a good place in life, just like 2015, for me, enjoy it. Be grateful for it. Be grateful for it. Don't make the same mistake that I did. In 2015, I was not grateful for the life that I had. I really wasn't. I was not grateful for the life that I had in 2015. 2015 was the good old days, and I didn't even know it. So if you're in a good place right now, enjoy every day. Enjoy every moment of it. These are the good old days. You will look back at in years from now. You will look back at this time and think, wow, these are the good old days. Because I know I'm going to look back at 2017 and think these are the good old days. So I'm not going to make the same mistake. So if you're in a good place right now, enjoy it. Be grateful for it. You don't know how long it's going to last. And that's the point, is life can change quickly. Don't think that if you're in a good place, it's going to be like this for the rest of your life. You just have no idea what's around the corner. It could be good. It could be bad. But the point is just you don't know. It's so easy to hit rock bottom. All it takes is a series of events. Who knows? You might lose your job. You may lose a loved one. This might happen. That might happen. Life can unravel really fast. So fast that before you know it, you're in a different place. Just like for me, from 2015 to 2016, life unraveled so fast. It kind of like life just slipped through my fingers, and I didn't even realize it. You know, um, but yeah. So if you're in a good place right now, uh, you know, stick with it and be grateful, and and enjoy it. Really try to live in the moment and enjoy it, because life can change really quickly. And on the flip side, if you are experiencing one of the toughest times of your life, just like me, just like KC in 2016. 2016 was a brutal year from start to finish. It was absolutely brutal. If you're experiencing a KC 2016 year right now, it's kind of like hills and valleys. Just remember this: life can change really fast. Just like how life can go from good and unravel to just brokenness, just remember, by that same token, that brokenness, those pieces can start coming together even faster than you think sometimes. You know, just like it takes a series of events sometimes to kind of unravel your life and break you down, all it takes is a couple of key series of events to kind of make life good again. All it takes is maybe, if you're depressed about work, is just a change in job, or if you're depressed about, you know, uh, um, one aspect of your life, just a small little change here or this or that is it can get better. Again, I'm not, I don't know the future. I can't promise anything, but I'm not saying it will or this will happen, or if you're depressed that you're not working, I can't magically say I promise you will find a job. No, no, I'm not trying to make any false promises. But what I am saying is it is true that things can change. Sometimes we just have to have hope and faith that things are going to get better, because in 2016, I wish I had that hope, that it was going to get better. That probably would have got me through it better, for lack of a better word. But just remember, if you are not in a good place right now, it can get better. Life can change really fast. So if you're in a bad place right now, just remember, life can change fast. A month from now, your life may be completely different. A year from now, right now, it is May 2017. If you are not in a good place right now, just remember, in May 2018, your life can be a complete 180. A complete 180. And the reason I know that is because I lived through it. May of 2016 is completely different from right now. May 2017, my life is a complete 180. No depression, no anxiety, different job, different. I'm living someplace different. Everything has just changed. Just remember that life can change really, really fast. And yeah, I just wanted to share that. I don't know if anyone out there is listening. I don't even know if anyone's gonna get value from this, but I just wanted to share that story. Again, I don't even know what to call this topic of the day, but life can change. You know, uh, uh, life can change really fast, and it can get better, it can get worse, but life just it can change really fast. So if you're in a good place right now, enjoy it, be grateful. If you're not in a good place, enjoy it, be grateful, because it can get better. And yeah, that's all I want to say is that life can change really, really fast. And yeah, I don't know if that was even a profound message. It seems pretty simple to me, but basically the topic of the day was just life can change really fast. I was just reflecting on it, and it's just wow. Life can change so fast. Life can be really good, and then just before you know it, it's like how did I get here? Life can just turn. Yeah, you can just get broken really easily. But vice versa, before you know it, sometimes it's like, how did I get here? I'm whole again. I'm fixed. You know. Um, yeah. Anyways, again, I was a little vague on the details, and I did a lot of other things to help me cope, like good things. But yeah, I won't go into specifics on that. But I'm just in general, that's all I wanted to say. I know I kind of went off on some tangents about mental health. I really didn't mean to, but I just wanted to share with you that just life can change. And yeah, I guess that's it for the topic of the day. I apologize if that's a little more thought provoking. I didn't want to go that deeply into it. Um, but yeah, that was it. That's my topic of the day. And I hope if this episode could help even one person. Maybe if one person listening to this and they're going through kind of uh, you know a KC 2016 type of year, if anyone's listening to this and it gives them hope that you know what, KC is right, life does change and it can change pretty fast. So um, it's not supposed to be a story. This isn't supposed to be necessarily a story of hope per se, but it really is because it ended up better. But it's both a warning, I guess. It's both a warning and a story of hope. Just keep in mind, life can change really fast. And actually, and so let me add one more um, addition to this topic. There's one more thing I want to add too is given that life can change pretty fast. Try to be kind of more compassionate, I guess. I'm not saying you're not, whoever's listening to this, but, try to be more compassionate and understanding to people's life stories and people's life struggles. Um, if you have a friend or a coworker or even an acquaintance or a family member, and you notice their life has kind of changed, even in a couple months, um, don't think, oh, well, you know what, I saw him a couple months ago, he was fine, so he must be fine now. Just remember, life can change really fast. In a couple months, a person can get really broken. Their life can unravel really fast in just a couple of months. So, be there for each other and understand that life can change pretty quickly. So, um, just be aware of that is life can change pretty fast. You can be on top of the world one day and just hit rock bottom soon after. But vice versa, you can be rock bottom and soon after you can climb up. You know, things can get better. I'm not saying they will or they won't, but just I personally, I know me personally, me KC, I do have hope and faith that things always uh, will work out for the better, or at least there's a reason for it. And but yeah, I just want to say that life can change really fast. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed that topic. I know it's a little more philosophical, I guess, but. I didn't mean it to be so deep. I guess this is a very more deep episode, more thought provoking. But yeah, that's wow. This is a surprisingly deep episode. I didn't really think it would go to sort of those places. But hey, that's a podcast, right? That is the Take a Break podcast. That's why we have this podcast. So, but look, I hope you enjoyed that topic of the day. Now, usually at this time we go to the community chat. That's where I read your emails, but I didn't have any new emails or any relevant comments to read. So, no community chat this episode. And anyways, yeah, I guess that's it. That was a pretty heavy talk, so I'm gonna let that digest. Hopefully, episode 23 will be a little more lighthearted, but hopefully that wasn't too heavy for y'all. But anyways, yeah, that's it. I think I'll just better end this now. It was a good episode. Thanks for listening. Actually, I'm glad this was actually good. I know I always mention it that the Take a Break podcast is also for me to take a break. Thank you for listening. I really do mean it. I kind of felt like I vented a little bit, but thank you for listening to my story and spending some time with me. I really do appreciate that. So so yeah, thanks for listening. I really do mean it. Thanks for spending. How long has it been? I guess an hour. I guess. Thanks for spending this hour with me, and listening to me talk. But, anyways, yeah, that is it. I really appreciate it. So thank you for sticking around. Anyways, yeah, Minion vacuum cleaner. Thanks for taking a break to listen to this podcast. This is KC saying take care and stay well.